we have learned in the previous session and move forward and learn some different types of verbs, inshallah. So first of all, we're going to bring this ayah from the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 35, which goes,
وَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ وَكُلَا مِنْهَا رَغَدًا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ.
so the ayah goes, وَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ. So inshallah we're going to analyze, and inshallah you should be able to understand and know all the things in this ayah. So wow is here is the beginning of the sentence. It's not ataf, so it's wow has many roles in the Arabic language. Is one of the role here is to begin a new sentence. Qulna comes from the verb qala. It's got a weak letter. It's a weak verb, so the conjugation is different. So qala, qala, qalu, qalat, qalata, and when hunna comes, then it becomes qulna. Qulta, qultuma, qultum, qulti, qultuma, qultunna, ana qultu, nahnu qulna. So we said, Allah says, we said, ya Adamu. Ya is your harfu nida and Adamu is munada. So and Allah says, ya Adamu uskun. Uskun means sakana, yaskunu, uskun. So we know why it is uskun. Hamzatul wasl has dhamma, but because there's another letter, another word before it, so the sound is not produced, and this assimilation of sound. So ya Adamu uskun. So here fa'il mustatir. How do you describe this fa'il? Fa'il amrun mabniun ala sukun. Fa'il mustatir taqdiruhu anta. And anta refers to yadullu ala Adamu. And again we have a repetition of the pronoun anta is for emphasis, for greater emphasis. Ya Adamu uskun anta wa zawjikal. So here waw is ataf and zawj is mawtufun ala anta. That is for Adam. That's the fa'il. That's why it's dhamma. Wa zawju wa huwa mudaf and ka is mudaf ilayhi. And what is al jannata? Al jannata is mafulun bihi for the fa'il uskun. So stay, you and your wife and your companion in Jannah. And it says uskun is your fa'il and al jannata is your maf'ulun bihi. And it says wakula minha ragadan haythu shi'tuma wala taqraba. So here kula is again is fa'il amr. It comes from akala ya'kulu. Though we know this is a atypical verb where the fa'il amr is not formed in a normal pattern. It is a different pattern which is kul, and antuma is kula. So here both male and female, it includes two of you. So this alif is alif musanna. So both of you, you eat minha from a jar majrur. Ha refers to jannah, so it's feminine. Ragadan, ragadan means carefree or don't without worrying about anything. So eat from it, ragadan, haythu shi'tuma, from wherever you both wish. So sha'a, it's the fa'il, and shi'na is from hunna, it becomes shi'na, and shi'ta, shi'tuma is your antuma. So both of you, what you wish. If eat freely, both of you what you wish. Wala taqraba. So here, this is our lan nahiya. La taqraba. So how does this verb form? It comes from the verb qariba. Qariba means he approached or he came near. Qariba. And yaqrabu. Yaqrabu. Sami'a yasma'u. So taqraba, taqrabani is because of la nahiya, the noon is dropped. That's why taqraba is two of you. So both of you, Allah is instructing both of you. Wala taqraba. Both of you don't approach. Approach what? Hadihi. So hadihi is your maf'ulun bihi, and we know after ismul ashara what comes of al is a badal. So that's why we have a ending with fatha, because hadi is maf'ulun bihi. So ash-shajarata is badal and ends with fatha. هذه الشجرة فتكون من الظالمين. So this fa we're going to learn later on. It is kind of a jawabu shart. There's a jumlatul shart here which we're going to learn in book 3 inshallah. So we're going to leave it aside. Just consider it as a ataf. And takuna. So what is here takuna is takunu is you be one person. Takunani is you both be. But again here the noon is dropped because fa is present here. That's why. So here it says you both will be.
فأزلهما الشيطان
So you both will be minas zalimin, from the one who are transgressed. Minas zalimin. So subhanallah. So these are the different types of fa'al, amr and la nahiya, which makes the fa'al majzoom. So going to the verb kada yakadu, which we learned. We know kada yakadu is an incomplete verb and it needs ism and khabar. So again an ayah from Surah Baqarah. It says yakadul barqu yakhtafu absarahum. So what's happening here? Yakadu is your fail, and this fail will have a fail naqis and it will have an ism. So al barqu, what barqu means? Lightning. So the lightning almost. So now we need to know the khabar. Almost what? So the khabar will be jumlatul fa'liya, and that jumlatul fa'liya will be mudari'. And here the jumlatul fa'liya is yakhtafu. Khatafa yakhtafu. That means it snatches. Khatafa or khatifa means it snatched, and yakhtafu means it snatches. So here it is yakhtafu is fa'il mudari' marfu'um bidamma fa'il mustatir taqdiruhu huwa, and this huwa goes to barqu, the lightning almost snatches. And again this is fa'il muta'addi, so it needs maf'ulun bihi. So what we have here is absara. So absara is your maf'ulun bihi, and whom is your mudaf ilayhi. So the lightning almost snatches their eyesight. Absarahum is their eyesight. So that's a quick revision of the things which we learned and also analyzed in the Quranic ayahs. So alhamdulillah, moving forward, what we're going to learn today is we're going to learn the different forms of verbs. So what are the forms of verbs? So there are 10 forms of verbs in Arabic. We're not going to do all today, but just to know that there are 10 forms of verbs, and what we've been learning is the 3-letter verbs. And this 3-letter verbs, which is the base form, is called form 1. That's the form 1. And we know that it's got 3 letters in it, which is fa kalima, always has fatha. Ain kalima, where there is action takes place, it can have fatha, dhamma, kasra. And lam kalima, which always has fatha again. And we know mudari', it always starts with ya. Alamat mudari' always has fatha again, and fa kalima will have sukoon. Ain kalima, where the action takes place, and lam kalima will always have dhamma in the marfu form. So we know the alamat mudari', which are ya, ta, a, and na. So these are the alamat mudari', which is 3-letter forms will have fatha. So today we're going to learn about 4-letter verbs. So the peculiarity or the easy identifying way of these 4-letter verbs is that in mudari', the 4-letter verb will always begins with dhamma. The mudari', alamat mudari' will always have dhamma on it. So it will be you, tu, u, and nu. So then among the 10 forms of verbs which we mentioned, there are 3 forms of verbs which have 4 letters, which are constructed using 4 letters. And those forms are form 2, form 3, and form 4. So these 3 forms of verbs which are constructed using 4 letters, and these all will have fa'il mudari', beginning with Dhamma. The alamat mudari' will have Dhamma. That's the speciality of these four-letter verbs. So inshallah in today's class we're going to learn a little bit about all these forms, how the verbs are formed. So to begin, first we're going to do form 2. So we're going to see how this form 2 is formed. So all these forms are formed from the base letters, which is fa, a and lam. So fa kalima, ain kalima and lam kalima. As we know, the form fun, there are 6 babs, but in Mazid or in the form 2 to 10 there is only one. There is no bab nasara, bab sami'a, bab daraba, bab fataha. There's nothing like that. It's a bit simple. So let's see how it is constructed. So we have fa kalima will have fatha in form 2, ain kalima will have fatha, and lam kalima will have fatha. So what will happen extra, how the fourth letter comes, is that an extra ain is added. So this is the form 2 type of verb. How do we pronounce it? Fa'ala. And how is it written? It's written with shadda. Fa'ala. That's the madi. That's the form 2. And how is mudariya made? Mudariya we know, if it is 4 letters, it will begin with you, and it will be you, fa, I, lu. The ain kalima will get kasra, and lam kalima will, as usual, will have dhamma in the marfu form, and then again majzum and mansub will have sukoon. So you fa, ilu. That's the mudari'. That's the form 2. We're going to do some examples, so we're going to understand better. So, form 1, for example, if we take alima, ya alamu, and we know how the amr is made in form 1. We take the alamatul mudari' away, and obviously, depending on the lam, ain kalima or dhamma, or fatha kasra, depending on that, we'll bring hamzatul wasl and we give kasra if it is fatha or kasra. So here it is lam. So in form 2, so we're going to see how the fail amr is formed, inshallah. So it is fa'ala yufa'ilu. So we know fail amr is formed from mudari'. So if we bring mudari', and we know we don't need the alamat mudari' in fail amr. So what do? We take away the alamat mudari', and we know that the alam fail amr is majzoom. So we're going to change the dhamma into sukoon. So are we able to pronounce the letter here? Fa'il. So because the verb is beginning with the vowel signs, we don't need to bring hamzatul wasl. Whereas in the top example, if you see, if we don't bring hamzatul wasl, so the verb is beginning with sukoon, which you cannot pronounce. That's why you need help. But here in form 2, we don't need any help because it is beginning with fatha. So if you take the example, alima, form 1, which means he knew. Allama means he taught. He taught. And yu'allimu means he teaches. He teaches. And how do you make amr? Is allim. Allim means amr. So if you take another example, it is sabbaha. Sabbaha means he glorified. Sabbaha means he glorified. And how we know it's a 4-letter verb, so the mudari' will begin with dhamma. So you sabbihu. Sorry, yasabbih, it is you sabbihu. That's the mudari', and we know the amr form 2 is formed by sabbih. Sabbih. So glorifying, that's the amr, and this is the most common verb or form of command Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in the Quran. So one of the examples is Sabbihisma Rabbikal A'ala. So here it is Sabbih, Surah Ala. Isma. Sabbih is Fail Amr. And we know because it's ending with sukoon, we cannot pronounce because immediately there is Hamzatul Wasl and a sukoon again. So for the phonetics reason, it is Sabbihisma. So we know why the kasra is. And isma is your mafulun bihi. Glorifying. Glorify what? the name, and that's maf'ulun bihi wa huwa mudaf, the name of Rabbi. This Rabbi is mudaf ilayhi, and wa huwa mudaf, and ka is mudaf ilayhi final. So sabbihisma rabbikal, and al-a'la is your naat for Rabbi, the Most High. So that's the English, but now Alhamdulillah we can understand directly, and as we read, sabbihisma rabbikal a'la, glorify the name of your Lord, the Most High. So coming to form 3, inshallah. So how do we make a form 3? So again we take the base letters fa, a, and la. So here in the form 3, what is extra added is alif. Alif is added to the fa kalima. So what do we get? We get fa, a, la. That's the pattern. That's the madi. Fa'ala. And how do we make mudara? Because it is 4 letters, we know it begins with U. That will be yufa'ilu. Yufa'ilu. And we're going to see how the amr is formed. It's straightforward. So you take the mudari', and as usual we don't need the alamat mudari'. We take the mudari' away and we change the dhamma into sukoon. So can we pronounce it? It is beginning with sukoon? No, it's got fatha. So we can say fa'il. So if we take some examples of form 3, it's like jahada, he struggled. Yujahidu, he is struggling. And how do you make amr? Jahid, strive or struggle. Sa'ada, he helped. Yusa'idu, he is helping. And how do you make amr? It is sa'id. So sa'id means help. You're asking for help. Commanding. So that's form 3. So going to form 4. So again the base forms like fa kalima, ain kalima, fatha, and lam kalima, fatha. But here what is coming extra is that hamza tul qata is brought in front. In the form 3, that alif is added in front of fa. Here hamza tul qata is added. So this form 4 will have slightly different conjugations. So we're going to see inshallah. So the madi will be af'ala. That's the form 4. Af'ala. So madi, and mudari'a, it should be af'ilu. It should begin with dhamma and the verb comes. But here, because it's hamzatul qata, so we know that's what happens here is this hamzatul qata, it gets dropped. So instead of yu'afa'ilu, what we get is yufa'ilu. So it looks like it's like a 3-letter verb, alamatu mudari and 3-letter. But now we know, because it's beginning with dhamma and the fa kalima has sukoon, it's a form 4, and that hamzatul qata is dropped. That's why it is yufa'ilu. It's not yafa'ilu, it is yufa'ilu. So how do we make mudara? It's quite interesting as well if you just pay attention. So if we take mudara, which is yufa'ilu, we know as usual we don't need alamat mudara, so we take it away and we change the lam kalima dhamma into a sukoon. But can we pronounce now? No, because the fail is starting with sukoon. So now comes the tricky part. Should we bring hamzatul wasl? So now, before we bring hamzatul wasl, the hamzatul qata from the original madi verb, it comes up. It says, hello, I am there. I was originally there. Just for the mudari', I went away. But for the amr, it says he is going to stand by the fa'il. So what will happen now? Now we have a vowel sign. So we don't need again hamzatul wasl. So this amr is the only amr in the fa'il which begins with fatha. Is af'il. This is the fa'il amr of form 4. Af'il. So let's give some example. Akmala, he completed. Yukmilu, and akmil, complete. Adkhala, he entered. He took something and he entered. Yudkhilu, he is taking something in.
and adkhil, to enter something. Adkhil. So that's the form 4. We're going to do another most common verb which you find in the Quran. So kharaja is the base form, and if you want to make this in, which means he went out. Akhraja is form 4. Akhraja means he took something out. He brought something out. So that's what akhraja means. You take something and you bring it out. So akhraja. Yukhriju. Yukhriju. It means originally you akhriju, but obviously its hamzatul qata is dropped, so it is yukhriju. He is taking something out. And how do we make amr? It will be akhrij. Akhrij. Take something out. Akhrij. So based on this verb, we're just going to bring one ayah, inshallah, which is very interesting, and we should be able to identify each and every word in this ayah, inshallah. So this is again from Surah Al-Baqarah. It says, Allahu waliyyul lazina amanu yukhrijuhum minaz zulumati ilan nur. So Allah says, so if we use our analysis knowledge, so Allah, the word Allah Azza wa Jal is your mubtada, and waliyu, which means the friend, is your khabar, wahuwa mudaf, and allazina is your mudaf ilayhi. You should see the connection, how each word is connected to each other. So now allazina, we know it is mudaf ilayhi, but it is a ism mausula, and we know every ism mausula what is attached is silatul mausul. So wallazina amanu. Amanu again is a 4-letter verb which we're going to learn in detail later on. So amana, amanu means wow is represents whom. So Allah is the friend of those who believe. Amanu. So, and the second part begins with a sentence. It is yukhrijuhum. So what is yukhriju? Oh, we know that it is originally it is yukhriju. It comes from akhraja. Yukhriju. He brings out. So brings out what? It's whom. He brings them out. So they are them. The whom represents allazina amanu, the one who believe. He brings them out. Allah brings them out. So where does he brings them out from? Minaz zulumati, jar majrur, from the darkness, ilan nur, again jar majrur, into the lightness, from darkness into the light. Wallazina kafaru awliya'uhum at-taghut yukhrijunahum minan nuri ila zulumat. So if you see again, wow is used to begin a new sentence again here. So allazina, what we have here is the beginning of a sentence. It's a mubtada. Okay, jumlatul ismiya. So what we're looking is your khabar. So, but we know allazina is a isma mawsula. What is attached to it is silatul mawsul. You cannot separate them. So kafaru is your silatul mawsul, which is, and those people, those what means? Those people who disbelieve. Awliya'u. And again here, this whole awliya'uhum at-taghut is coming as a khabar. That's a jumlatul ismiya. So we need to see how it is connected. Awliya'u is again mubtada, is the, and hum, the friend of them, is at-taghut. So the false deities. So those who disbelieve, their friends are at-taghut, or the false deities. And what do these false deities do? Yukhrijunahum. Yukhrijuna. So they take them out. Who? At-taghutu take them. Hum. This hum refers to allazina kafaru. Yukhrijunahum minan nuri ila zulumat. From the lightness to the darkness. Minan nuri ila zulumat. So Allah alone can take us from, if you see the ayat, Allah is wahid, so yukhrijuhum. He alone takes them from Zulumat, everybody, Allah alone takes from darkness to light, but from lightness to darkness, yukhrijuna, there are many deities. That's why the fa'il, yukhrijuna. This is hum, there are many, which can take us from the lightness to the darkness. Ulaika ashabun nari hum fiha khalidun. And this ulaika refers to all those allazina kafaru and at-taghut. So those are the ashabun nari hum fiha khalidun. They remain in it forever. So that is your full ayah. So alhamdulillah, we should be able to understand and analyze each and every word, inshallah. So we're going to do another verb and finish our class today, inshallah. It is a type of form 4, but it is again, it is an atypical verb. So we're just going to do the conjugation and learn it, and because we'll be using this verb in our next lesson, inshallah. So the base form is rada, and mudari' madi is arada. Arada means he wanted, and yuridu means he wants. So he wanted, arada, and yuridu means he wants. So let's conjugate this and see how this verb changes itself under different pronouns. So if you see, arada means he wanted, arada, they both wanted, aradu is they all wanted men, aradat, she wanted, aradata, they both female wanted. So we know hunna, when it comes, there's a problem there because the lam kalima is sukun. So how do we pronounce this alif? There's no vowel sound in it. So it is having a sukun. So what happens, because it's a weak letter, this letter is dropped, and how do we get is aradna. So it is changed to aradna. So from aradna we know it is aratta, arattuma, arattum, aratti, arattuma, arattunna, arattu, aratna. So I wanted, arattu, and aradna means we wanted. So let's go to mudari' of this verb. Very most common verb means yuridu. This is what the most common form used. Yuridu. Yuridu means he wants. Yuridani, they both want. Yuriduna, they all want. Turidu, she wants. Turidani, they both female wants. And again, because of this iltiqai sakinaini, we can't pronounce this yur. So that's why what you do is you remove it and it says yuridna. Yuridna is hunna. And anta turidu, antuma, you both male, turidani, antum turiduna, antum turiduna, all of you want. Turidina, female, feminine, you want. Turidani and turidna. It will be turidna. This alif is dropped because of iltiqai sakinaini. Ana uridu, I want, and nahnu nuridu, we want. So that's the fa'al here. We know it is a 4-letter fa'al beginning with U. So we should be able to identify from mudari' what's the base form, madi, and from the madi go to the 3-letter base form. So inshallah it takes a little bit of practice. It's a lot of information. Form 2 is fa'ala, form 3 is fa'ala, and form 4 is af'ala. So only by writing and practicing, inshallah, we get these verbs more stronger, inshallah. So that brings to our end of class 35. So inshallah we're going to start lesson number 16 in our next class. Until then, keep writing, keep practicing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.